बुद्धिहीन तनु जाने के. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hanuman Healing Hour. I have a very wonderful guest with us today. She's somebody that is a very beautiful person. We'll get into who she is and exactly what all she does, but she's very knowledgeable about Vedic ideas and Vedic sciences. And I thought it would be a very appropriate person to have on after we had my guru, Baba Gangadas, on last episode. So, Vinodini Dasi, how are you doing today?
Hello, Jaitra Das, Hari Bol and Hari Krishna. Thank you so much for having me here. It's been such a pleasure. Yes, Vinodini Dasi, it's my name, and Jaitra Das, thank you so much. I think what you're doing here is so wonderful because it is the time. This is the moment. This is the moment where we need to bring back the timeless truth. This is the moment that we need to bring back the real seekers are seeking. And we are ready for the nectar. And I think what you're doing here with this podcast, bringing Vedic knowledge more, is something absolutely fantastic for everybody. So thank you so much for thinking of me.
Definitely. So I saw a lot of your, I'm thinking you do a lot on TikTok. You also have YouTube and some other social medias, which at the end of the episode we'll kind of plug, and I'll also include in the description. Would you mind giving the audience a little background of who you are, how you got involved in this, maybe a little history of yourself?
Of course. Well, I guess it all started back in college. And in college, I studied acting and filmmaking. Always very artistic, very deep. And when I was in acting and filmmaking, I wanted to start creating very in-depth characters. And so I don't know why I thought about astrology. And so I started studying astrology more and mainly to give a personality to my characters, to my character developments and the characters that I was going to be acting out. And so I became very, very good with the energies of the stars and with the zodiac signs and their prototypes and their archetypes. And I was able to start channeling them through acting. And so it was wonderful. I went into some deep research on astrology. Then once I graduated, I wanted actual answers. Like everybody, once they graduate, they're like, what do I do with my life now? What am I supposed to do? And so I started using astrology as like, I want some answers. Like, where am I going? What's happening here? And so I got deeper into astrology, deeper into research, deeper into understanding me, understanding who am I, what am I all about, and what am I supposed to do here? And I think that's a question that every single jiva has. And so, of course, my mind was like, where can I get some answers? And astrology at the time seemed to me like, okay, there's some answers here. Let me figure myself out and let me figure out what is going on and where am I going? So from there, I started an astrology business. And I also started YouTube and I started doing my own content since I have the background on acting and filmmaking. And then I started my astrology company. And then, of course, as I kept going, I started doing more readings and I started doing more of this sort of entering into this very taboo world. We know that the world of astrology and readings and stuff like this, it's starting to get mainstream, but it was actually very much taboo, and it still kind of is. Yeah. And through there, in my spirituality, I learned a lot of things. I went through the whole spectrum. I went through the whole spectrum of being the new age kid, just discovering astrology, thinking I am God, and thinking I manifest everything, and thinking I'm the controller of life and controller of everything, just to crash against the world. To be humbled down by life. And then in my ego, I'm like, but why me? What's going on? What's happening? Why me? And in that process, all that suffering, I went into some very deep suffering. I think everybody goes through this very existential crisis suffering. And through there, obviously it was catalyst. There was a catalyst of a relationship and things like that, like everything. The whole ingredients are there. And of course, in this amounts of pain, I was traveling one day in Norway, and I was very, very distraught. And I was walking around the streets, and I found myself inside me. I'm like, man, I really want to find a place to meditate, to just find quiet and peace, and I just want to meditate. And as I'm walking, boom, I look to my left, and there's a church. And I look around, and I am in the middle of all these tourists. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's going to have to do. Let's go inside the church. Let's do it. And when I go inside the church, this beautiful, old school, gorgeous Catholic church, you walk in. And because it's in such a touristic area, when you walk in the path, it was closed. And it said, only people who are going to pray can come through. And so literally it was God saying like, okay, you're looking for me. You're going to come to my home and you're going to ask for me and you're going to ask to pray. Because in order for me to go sit down, I had to go to the lady and be like, hey, I want to go pray. And they're like, oh, yes, of course. And they let me in. And I sat down and I wasn't really thinking about praying. At that time, I'm a new age kid. I'm not praying. I'm meditating. And so I sat down and I'm going to meditate. And literally the moment that I'm about to meditate, my whole body just goes, boom. You're going to pray. And I remembered my prayers from when I was young, raised as a Catholic. I remember Our Father who art in heaven. I remembered the Virgin Mary prayer as well. And I said it 3 times. I did these prayers three times. And everything poured out of me. Like it was a prayer that really came from the heart. And I remember I just said, God, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Just take me. Take me, take my life, because thus far, I think I know what I'm doing. I think I have it figured out. And it's just been a disaster. I need help. Take me. And it felt so good. It felt so good. It felt like I took that out of my chest. And I got out and I came back to the States 3 days later and I had a massive spiritual awakening. It was this day where this immense righteousness came inside my heart. And I just completely destroyed all the illusions around me. I broke all the relationships. I broke all the things. Like it was like this. And I was sober. Okay. I was not under anything. During that time, I was going to a Santo Daime church. I don't know if you know Santo Daime. Santo Daime Church is a church of ayahuasca. Okay. And so I started going there. And after this sort of enlightenment, I started going to church. And the church that I kind of liked was Santo Daime Church. And I was in the Santo Daime Church, and that I'm a big advocate for plant medicines, not as the only way to God, but as a way for almost kind of opening the Maya that you're so consumed by and that you're so covered by. And you kind of have a moment to just uncover that Maya and remember. And so through that process, I was able to reconnect back to my Catholic roots very deeply. And I started chanting, but the chanting was rosary. So I started doing rosary. And it was really bringing a lot of peace in my life. It was really bringing a lot of things. But the more that I went deeper into Catholicism, the more I had more questions. I'm like, where is my role model? Where is my woman? Where is the female? Like, no problem with the man. Totally cool. Love Jesus Christ. But I'm a woman. Where do I look up to? And so I started reading the Bible in search for women, in search for the Virgin Mary, in search for Maria Magdalene. And you don't find anything. And so I really felt quite disconnected. I felt like, where is my space? Where do I belong? And I started praying for that. Because what I was getting into trouble, me personally as a woman, is because I don't know, like, what is the right woman? Am I supposed to be a whore? Am I supposed to be a virgin? Am I supposed to, like, what am I supposed to do to be a successful woman? Like, what is a successful woman? Am I supposed to negate having a relationship and only have a career? Or am I supposed to, like, what is it? And if I get married, it's like, is it really going to work or is it not? Like all these doubts, all these questions, all these fears. And so I was looking for answers, especially when 2020 came, of course, the apocalypse and all of this. I'm like, okay, now I really want some answers. And I started really doing massive research. And in that transformation, searching for a goddess, searching for that female divine relationship and that role model that can show me how do I do spiritual life? How do I go there? I found my husband in that process. Well, he found me. That's how it should go. And that's how it went. So my husband found me. I was giving astrology readings in Miami for Club Space. And Club Space had this external little outside venue in 2020. They couldn't have inner spaces anymore. They had to have outside spaces. And so I started working in this sort of like farmer's market. And he showed up there and I was giving astrology readings. And he's like, oh, you do astrology? And I was like, yes. And he's like, do you do Vedic astrology? And I had already tapped into Vedic astrology, of course. I've always been doing yoga since I was 15. Like I tapped into the Eastern world. And then when he said that to me, I was like, oh my gosh, who are you? What do you know? How are you talking to me about Vedic astrology? I mean, we're in the middle of Miami. Really? Wow. Okay. And so I sit him down and I'm like, let's give you a reading. And when we start giving a reading, he tells me that he has just come back from India. He was a brahmachari, which is a celibate monk, for the past 7 years. And I just became fascinated. I'm like, wow, you know something. And for an astrologer to be fascinated, it takes a lot. Okay.
Right.
Because I read a lot. I tap into a lot. I have very strong intuition and things like this. And it gets boring. It gets tired to be the person that you're always with the answers, always with the answers. And so at the end, it's like, man, when am I going to find somebody that is going to give me something? I want some of that. And so when he showed up, I wasn't even thinking about love yet. I was just like, oh my God, I need to learn from this guy. This guy knows something. And then the rest is history. We ended up getting married. And he was a really big influence. He took me to India and he showed me a bona fide path because I was a seeker, seeking and seeking and seeking here and seeking there. I knew that I had already found and understood that I needed a relationship with God, that I can't just live in the darkness forever, that eventually having a divine relationship is important. But I needed to find a divine relationship that really connected with all my seeking. And that woman part was a very big part. And so he is from this lineage, the Gaudas, the Gaudiya Vedanta. And so the Gaudiyas, their spiritual path is through Krishna consciousness, but they're actually they give more reverence to Radha. And Radha is the feminine counterpart of Sri Krishna. Why? Because Radha is the one that gives the most pleasure to Krishna. And so therefore, they're worshiping her because she's the one that can give the most pleasure to him. And so he told me that their spiritual practice, what they're trying to do is that at the end of their life, to eventually get to a platform where they can have a female spiritual body to serve the female goddess. And when he said this to me, I was just like, I found it. You're telling me that there's a goddess? You're telling me that God is in love with a woman? And that God is at the feet of a woman? And that this woman is literally the embodiment of divine brain, divine unconditional love? So much so that she is the guru of love, of Krishna, of God. And when I started discovering this knowledge, I found her. I found my worshipable. I found the one that I was ready to worship. And so now my life is about service and her service. Because especially she's so hidden. She's so hidden. I mean, even when we started getting the Abrahamical religions, the first thing that they did is take out the woman. The first thing that they did. I mean, in the Vatican, women can't go there. And even the idea of having Jesus Christ in love or God in love with a woman is like scandalous. oh no,
Yep.
we can't have that. And so it was really impactful. And so now I this practice has really deepened my spirituality, and I have really understood that it's about relationship. Before, I was trying to have a relationship with the divine, with a formless thing, with this universe that I don't even know if that universe knows me. I don't even know if that universe, like, I don't know, it's just a void of space.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I build a relationship with a void of space? Or if God is a light, how can I build a relationship with a light? Like it keeps me so far away. And that's how I felt. I felt
Mm-hmm.
like so far away from God. I felt like, is he even hearing me? Like, how can I be closer to him? How can
Right.
I be closer to you? And this practice, this ancient practice, Sanatan Dharma, which is more the oldest one
Mm-hmm.
that we know, with the
Mm-hmm.
oldest language that we know in Sanskrit. This is the Mecca, baby. So a lot
Yeah.
of people say that the Abrahamical religions are the people of the book.
Right.
Well, the people Sanatan Dharma are the people of the library. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we are the library where that book came from.
Yeah.
So now I understand, and even astrologically, I see that
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a big rise in this Sanatan Dharma. And of course, it's being attacked. Right now, it's being attacked. Right now, it's being attacked to be covered, to be forgotten, to be
Yeah.
shamed. I mean, just recently, I was in ChatGPT asking ChatGPT to give me a Bhagavad Gita verse from chapter
Mm-hmm.
10, and ChatGPT was refusing to give
Really.
me the Bhagavad Gita verse.
Wow.
And I was like, give me the verse. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, it goes against our guidelines. I'm like, how is a verse from a book going against your guidelines? I have to give you I'm going to give you the screenshot so that you can see, until
Yeah.
I finally forced it to give me the Gita. Finally, I forced it and he finally gave it to me.
Yeah.
It,
Wow.
yes. So I'm telling you, they're trying to hide it. And the only way, that was another thing that came into the realization when I came across this path, is that the only way that this is ever going to survive is by the practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
no other way.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you ever heard, but I believe it was the Dalai Lama had said at one point the next guru or the next great sage is going to be the Sangha, and even though it's different, paths, in my interpretation of that, he was referring to the truth, which what Sanatana Dharma is that Sangha, right? So, like we were talking before we jumped on camera, um, us coming together and doing these type of things, this is how the truth is, and just like you said, is going to stay and flourish and come about. And I mean, me personally, I've seen it in my life and the people around me. Even somebody like a parent who was a strict Christian, strict. Now she's asking me about the Gita. Now she's asking me about this, asking me about my tilak, things like that, and I have to explain to her what bhakti is, or what the act of devotion and service is. And that kind of brings me into my next question. I know you talk a lot about understanding the Vedic practices, and can you kind of give the audience an idea of how those Vedic practices tie into bhakti and how they're kind of very similar to each other?
Yes, of course. So Vedic astrology is very much derived from the Vedas. And the
Mm-hmm.
Vedas are that original book. So these Vedas were created by Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva is an empowered avatar of the Lord. And he was in a meditation, and he went into the future in his meditation because he's this rishi, his saint, an enlightened being. And
Right.
he saw in the future that we were going to step into Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga is where we are right now, which started 5,000 years ago. And he saw the misery that it was going to cause, because this is the winter of the solar system. This is the moment where we have the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. And I don't have to convince you of that. Just look at the news. Everybody can just be like, why is this world upside down? Because it's Kali Yuga. It's Kali Yuga. It's the degradation era. And so Vyasadeva saw this, and he understood that we weren't going to be able to understand the Vedas. And so he broke it down into 4 Vedas. And he simplified it. He wrote the Mahabharata. He wrote these different texts to help us. The Upanishads, all of them. He wrote all of these to help us really be able to not forget the timeless truth once we go into Kali Yuga. And in the Vedas, we have limbs of yoga, where we have Ashtanga yoga, the yoga that we all know at the yoga studio, or the asana yoga that we all know at the yoga studio. And now we also have the limb of yoga called Bhakti Yoga, which is the yoga of devotion. And there's many more yogas. And so in this Vedas, we have a branch that is called Jyotish. And of course, in the Vedas, you also find all the sciences, all the maths, all the everything. Okay. That's the other thing about Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is the only philosophy that actually has immense amounts of scientific knowledge. I mean, in the Vedas, we found about the atom and gravity way before our Western thieves took it, you know. It's been there. It's been there forever. And so in the Vedas, we have one branch called Jyotish. And Jyotish is what we know as Vedic astrology. And Jyotish is known as the eye of the Vedas. And so Jyotish is the one that deciphers and understands the planets and their relationship to us. And how also Jyotish is the one that's kind of holding the blueprint of your karma, of your past life reincarnations, and the impressions that your soul has, and the sort of karmas that we need to also go through. Because there are 4 types of karmas. We have the karma of the seed. So when you, for example, plant a seed of karma by just a thought or just a word, you're not going to see the repercussions instantaneously. That seed is going to have to grow. So it takes some time to grow. And this karma may take lifetimes to grow. And so when we ask ourselves, why is this happening to me? Or why is this little baby have cancer? It's karma, baby. Things that are beyond us. We don't have the vision. We don't see the full picture. We don't know what that baby was in his past life. We don't know why those things, because it's karma. And this is scientific. Every action has a positive and negative reaction. It's even scientifically proven. So in here we have the Vedas. In here we have Vedic astrology. And Vedic astrology is where Western astrology derives from. You know, that's the grandpa. Is the same thing as the religions and everything. And so Vedic astrology is when we really start going into the clarity of vision and being able to see yourself, being able to see the world, being able to see where are we going, what is being tested, what is the karmas, what are the blessings. And a lot of people have a fear of astrology, and I understand, because if we have no strong faith in God, then automatically we're going to want to put faith in something else. Everybody needs faith. Even the biggest atheist needs a lot of faith in their atheism. It doesn't matter. Everybody needs faith to survive. And so the jiva, the soul, is always looking to see what it's going to attach itself with. And that's why even me as an astrologer, it wasn't fulfilling fully the answers to me. For example, even in astrology, the 8th house is the house of astrology. And then the 9th house, the next upcoming house, is the house of Dharma and God. It's like, I can't stay in the 8th house forever. I have to eventually go to the 9th house. And this is what I tell my occult friends. It's like, of course, we're occultists. Yeah, wonderful, great. But are you going to stay in the shadows forever? Or are you going to get out of there and go and see God and actually get your answers? So that's why a lot of people put faith in astrology, and then they end up, obsessions and things like this. And that's what they say, don't put so much in that. But astrology can be an amazing psychological tool. It could be an incredible self-development tool. It could be an incredible tool for you to have mercy on yourself.
Mhm.
Because if in this society everybody's trying to be the same, and especially now with social media, the trends are even thicker. The pretensions are even thicker, and these things are even thicker. So people are pretending to be things that they think that they are, but they're not. And then they don't know who they are. And then they don't know their weakness and strengths. And then they don't know where they're going and where they came from. And so this is what astrology is all about.
Right.
It's telling your personal story. And if you have a good astrologer, they are supposed to help you connect to your soul and to God. All in my readings, like, yes, I'll read everything to you, but I know I'm not the healer. The healer is God. The path is there. And so that's how with the astrology is. And then of course, as we keep growing and as we keep seeing our world, I start understanding that there is some rules and sort of organizations and duties that naturally make up this world and that are meant to be there. And we can see that in astrology too. Saturn is the planet of structure and karma, and it's the one that gives form to ourselves. If not, we will be just formless beings. Like, it's an important thing. And so Saturn is the one that's showing us our limits, our rules of this world. And if you know how to follow that, you get good results. And that is those rituals. That is the Vedic rituals. They have been broken down from long ago, showing you this is the path, you follow it, you'll get good results. But in our day and age, in this new age of world where we want to reinvent the wheel and reinvent existence and reinvent genders and reinvent everything, we're getting confused, and we're trying to force a hypothesis or a theory that we think it's going to work, and then we see that it just crashes and it just doesn't work. And in reality, all it leads is to frustration. Frustrated society. They're so frustrated because they can't get it right. But we have the book. We have the rituals. We have it. Our ancestors used it. It worked for them.
Yeah.
And so that is why I think, yes, following the Vedic, it gives me confidence, and it gives me form. It gives me duty. And maybe I'm just a classical girl, but I think everybody likes to have a bona fide something.
Right.
We can't live in illusion, and we can't live in sentiments and temporary things forever. Like, we're going to have to eventually get to something solid, something real. Yeah. And I think now when we're going to also have virtual reality, this is going to get even bigger, baby. Like, what is real?
And all the AI, the fake videos, and I mean, I fully see, next 5 years, we're having conversations like this right now, but I don't even think we're going to know if you're a real person or I'm a real person, or, you know what I mean? It's going to be so in a form where we can't distinguish unless we were to meet in person and physically poke each other on the shoulder. You know what I mean? And I really see that, one question I do kind of have, about the astrology and bhakti and all that. Can you give someone advice on how they could start finding a path into that? How they could, even maybe just get involved in it by finding the correct astrologer, and maybe some ideas or key signs for them to look for?
Of course. Now, Vedic astrology and bhakti, I will tell you, we all have individual independent free will. Okay, we all have free will, and if you practice bhakti, you can literally change your astrology, and this has been proven. So if you think that, if my astrology has bad aspects, has a bad thing, I'm bound forever, it's never going to work for me, doing bhakti yoga will transform your chart, will transform the lines of your hand in palmistry. So bhakti yoga is beyond it all. Okay.
Right.
And I would say bhakti yoga is more of an answer than even astrology. But astrology is a wonderful way to start stepping into understanding yourself and your world for your self-development tool. If you want to find a good astrologer, I would love to give you a reading here. My astrology deals with a lot of motivation and inspiration, and I really like to help people feel inspired of their soul's path and where their soul wants to take them, and encourage them in that path. In astrology, you can find everything. You want to find out who's your husband, you want to find out who's your wife, you want to find out when you're going to get married, you're going to find out where you're going to meet them, you're going to find out when you're going to get rich, when you're going to lose, when you're going to, you're going to find everything out. Okay?
Right.
The only thing that I don't predict is death. So don't ask me that. I believe no astrologer should be giving that sort of information out, but some of them do. So astrology is something like that. You can check out my YouTube, and in there you can get horoscopes, and you can start kind of understanding a little bit more about the stars and things like this. So astrology takes a while, okay? Because you have to learn and you have to understand many concepts. And so that one takes more research and more dedication and effort in learning. Bhakti also, but you can start right away.
Right.
You can start simple. You can start right away. So with Bhakti is about devotion. And even when we see in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna goes through the whole concept of yoga, how to be a perfect yogi, how to have this perfect sadhana. But then at the end, he says, listen, but if you just surrender to me and you have devotion to me and you do Bhakti to me, you can skip all of that.
Right.
You can skip all these austerities and super hard, difficult things that you have to do, and, put yourself through so much austerity is tough. People think that being a yogi is easy. Oh, hell no. Being a yogi is hard.
Not the true idea of a yogi. Maybe the Americanized idea is more simple, but the true idea of a authentic yogi is insanely difficult.
Very difficult. And one of the things here in the Western world, we do not like renunciation. We don't even practice it. We don't practice renunciation. We don't practice austerities. Oh, hell no. It better be comfortable. Everything has to be comfy. So no, this idea, it could be very tough. So what do? Krishna made it very simple. Krishna is like, just devote yourself to me. Surrender to me. Do Bhakti to me, and you will get everything and more. And so the Bhakti practice is very merciful, and it is actually one of the oldest forms of the oldest form of worship, which is called Vaishnavism. So and it's even where Catholicism derived from.
Yeah.
If you look at how Catholics they do chanting, they do rosary, they have an altar, they have they have the Virgin Mary, they have very similar. And even Prabhupada, when he came to the US, he said that Catholics are the ones that are the closest to the Vaishnavas. So Bhakti Yoga is very simple. You can start by, number one, reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is. That is the best version. And the best version that I suggest, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Bhagavad Gita means, Bhagavan is another name for God, another name for Krishna, and Gita means song. So this is literally the song of God. That's another thing. When I was reading the Bible, I was like, I want to find out what Jesus said. And it's so difficult to actually find out his words. You find out what people said of him. And so it's hard to find his only words. But in the Bhagavad Gita is the words of Krishna, is his words. And just start by, even if it's just opening in a random place, boom, reading that verse, very meaningful. Eventually it's going to capture your heart. And eventually one day you're going to read one verse, two verse, three verse, one chapter, two chapters. It's just going to, it gets to you. Why? Because the soul finally found what it was looking for.
Yeah.
Finally found. Why do we scroll so much? Because we're not finding what we're looking for. The soul is like, no. Where is the timeless truth? Where is the nectar? Where is the nectar?
Yeah.
So when you start reading the Bhagavad Gita, you're going to feel that. You're going to be like, ooh, I love that. And you're going to keep going, and you're going to keep going. And then chanting.
Yeah.
Chanting in beads. chanting is very important. Just want to pull some beats here. Chanting is the way that we connect. What do we chant? We chant the name of the Lord. That's what we're chanting. We're chanting his name. And the best way to do it is by having one of these malas. If you are vegetarian, you use a tulsi mala. If you are not vegetarian, you use a neem mala. And this mala has 108 beads, and you're going to chant in every single mala. You can chant the Maha Mantra. So why mantras? Mantras are so beautiful because mantra in Sanskrit, ma means mind and tra means deliverance. So this means that this ancient practice of the mantras that the rishis, that the sages, that these enlightened beings have been using for centuries is to deliver the mind. And deliver the mind from what? Deliver the mind from suffering, from pain, from lust, from greed, from bewilderment, from attachment, from pride, from arrogance, all the things that hurts us and makes us suffer. So mantras, a simple chanting of a mantra can literally cleanse your subtle body. We all know how to cleanse this body, this physical body, with soap and water, but do you know how to cleanse your mind?
Right.
Do we know how to do that? Sometimes the mind is so contaminated with so much anxiety, so much anger, so much restlessness, so much doubt, so much fears, that's the reason why we intoxicate. Because it's the only way we know how to handle it. We're like, oh my gosh, my mind, and like you just drink or whatever, because you just don't know how to deal with this mind. So here it is, mantras. Mantras, baby, will cleanse your mind, will cleanse the mirror of the heart. It's an active meditation that is actually good. If you have a hard time meditating, if you're like, oh my God, it's so hard to get rid of all my thoughts when I meditate. Yeah, because only high yogis can do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. So we need to give the mind something to do. What do you tell the mind to do? You're going to repeat this mantra over and over and over and over and over and over again. Now, which mantra is the best one to chant? There's many mantras. And all mantras have different powers. There's mantras that can bring you marriage. There's mantras that can bring you health. There's mantras that can bring you money. There's mantras that can, my guru has seen people who have perfection mantras in India that can control the weather, that can control animals when you perfection a mantra. But the best mantra to do is the Maha Mantra. And the Maha Mantra, Maha means the great, and mantra, it's the great mantra. And the Maha Mantra is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This 16-syllable mantra is the mantra that has all the other mantras within it. They're all inside of it. This is the reason why it's called the Maha Mantra. And when you do your chanting, you never want to use this finger. Like you're not going to grab your mala like this.
Right.
Okay? You're going to grab your mala with your middle finger or with your ring finger. Why not this finger? Because this is the finger of ego. You. Do this, do that. This is the finger of ego. So we don't touch our sacred beads with this finger of ego. And so you chant like this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and next. And you go all the way around. And these are 108 times that you do this. It takes about 7 to 10 minutes. You do this every single morning or every single day, whenever you want, for 6 months, and your life will totally be transformed. So this is a fantastic way to get started with Bhakti Yoga. And then, of course, you need a bona fide guru.
Right.
You need a bona fide guru. And if that is something you're looking for, if you want to find a bona fide, guru in Krishna consciousness, I have a guru. But also, you naturally are going to find guru yourself if you are a sincere practitioner. And the only thing I will say about guru is the number one obstacle to a spiritualist is false guru. So
Right.
it is important that you find a guru of a bona fide lineage, a guru that has served a guru,
Hmm.
that is humble. How can we tell the spiritual advancement of a person? Through their humility. And this is something that guru must admit, that when you see them,
Right.
you're just like, wow, like it melts your heart. That is a bona fide guru. Okay, watch
Yeah.
out for any guru who claims themselves to be a guru. Watch out for any guru who claims that they are enlightened and that they never needed a guru. Watch out for these,
Yeah.
because these are the not bona fide ones.
Yeah. Those are the sheep in the wolf's clothing, as I call it now.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
learned quite a while ago that if someone comes up to me and says they're a guru, their idea of a guru, yeah, turn around, hurry up, run.
They're a God complex. Let's call them that.
There you go. There you go. So one thing I'm kind of interested in with your experience with the path that you've gone down, what is a vision that you see for yourself that you would like to either help embody or help to bring about, um, maybe for yourself on a small scale to a larger scale, and then overall for maybe Sanatha Dharma?
Okay, wow. So from a small scale, me personally, I want to become a mother and
Mhm.
bring a God conscious being into this world. And I want to bring a God conscious being into this world who loves God and who can admit that into this world. So that is my personal thing, um, to serve my husband and to serve my family, and to have a lot of pride in that.
Yeah,
Me personally as a woman, that is something huge, because I mean, who else is going to raise the humanity of the world?
right.
It's the most
The mother.
important task right now. And now more than ever, the children are being
Mhm.
immensely attacked. And the only thing standing in the way of the demons and the children is the mothers. And so that is
Yeah.
my personal thing. Now, as we start getting in a bigger scale, I'm actually finishing writing a book right now. I'm going to be
Okay.
launching a book for 2025. And this book is for the raising of chastity in the world. So right now, what I'm feeling that my worshipable Sri Radha has brought into my heart is that we are ready to bring a higher consciousness to women. And the way
Mhm.
to bring more higher, because women are the next upcoming leaders. We all know that.
Yeah.
We
Oh
all
yeah.
know that the women are the next upcoming leaders. They're going to be the ones that are going to heal the world and all these things. But we cannot heal the world and we cannot do our job if we are distorted and we are not connected to God. And so
Right.
this book is about bringing the woman back to that divine alignment with the goddess and
Mm.
bringing her back to chastity.
Mm.
Chastity is the way that we're going to not just heal all women, but heal all men, but heal all society. Why? In the Bhagavad Gita, in the first chapter, when Arjuna and Krishna are talking, and Arjuna is trying to convince Krishna why he should not fight, he
Right.
says that in society, and this changed my life. Like when I read this verse, it was amazing, because it
Mhm.
was saying that women are the ones who hold the standard of spirituality in society. It is in women's hands the evolution of society.
Yeah.
Therefore, women have to be protected. Women must be protected. Why? Because women are easily degraded.
Mm.
Women are easily degraded. They're easily talked to into drinking, smoking, do this drug like that. It's nothing wrong. Like the naivete of a woman is a beautiful thing. Okay, we are meant to be like that. We are meant to be soft-hearted. We're meant to be loving. We're meant to not be guarded and afraid of the world. We're not meant to be like that. We're meant to be open-hearted. And
Right.
this is the reason why even in the Bible, when God created Adam and Eve, God said to Adam, you are going to take care of her.
Right.
You are responsible for her.
Right.
And what he was saying by that is that you do not let her get degraded.
Mm-hmm.
Degraded by eating that apple because
Right.
she's naive. She's in her la la land, la 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 la, and she's walking around in the beautiful Garden of Eden, and she just looks at this red apple. She's like, "Ooh, okay," and she is the one who can get easily tempted because she has that naiveness. And guess what? Adam was watching the whole time.
Yeah.
And Adam was like, "Wait, I'm not gonna do. Let's see what she does. Oh shit, she ate the apple. Okay, let me go. Can I have some?"
Yeah.
And then when God was like, "What happened, Adam?" He said, "Oh, it wasn't me, it was her."
Yeah.
This is the typical situation. So it's like we men are supposed to protect women.
Mm-hmm.
Adam could have easily been like, "No, mama, we don't eat from there.
Right.
Keep walking around." And she would have been like, "La la la la," walking over there. So he did it. He let her get degraded. He
Right.
let her get degraded. And this is what happens in our personal world right now. When a man is giving a woman a drink, when a man is trying to like degrade the woman so that he can get what he wants out of her, so that he can exploit her. And
Right.
he wants to have her unprotected by her father, unprotected by her brother, unprotected by everybody, so that she's totally susceptible to just being like, "Okay, I guess
Mm-hmm.
I have to sleep with you now that I had one drink that you bought for me." And
Right.
then even in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that if women are not protected, then unwanted children will be born.
Mm-hmm.
And when unwanted children are born, society collapses.
Right.
That is when I understood we need to really start stepping into our divine feminine, how Goddess intended. Not in this feminist, neo-feminist way. Mm-hmm. We are not meant to be like men. We are not meant to be alone and independent.
Right.
And this is not because you can't. Of course you can. I mean, come on, you give life.
Yeah.
You give life. Like, you can do it all, baby, okay?
Oh, yeah.
You can do it all, okay? You can give life. You can do it all. It's not a question about that. The question is that you deserve to not. You deserve to be a goddess, be taken care of, be loved, be cherished, be protected. You're meant to always be by the sides of someone, never to be alone. What a sad sight to see a 70, 80-year-old woman alone. It's sad.
Yeah.
And so this book has been written to raise the godly woman again. God needs her woman. And
Mm-hmm.
not in a suit of a man, but pregnant, and in a suit of a mother, and in a suit of a woman. And that she takes pride in that.
Mm-hmm.
We can no longer blame the man, okay? For all my neo-feminists, okay, blame the man. Well, where did the man come from? A vagina. They all came from a woman. So what are the women doing? Why are we not raising better men? Why are we not raising better children? Because we are taking our raising for granted. Oh, that's not valuable. So this book is about helping women coming back to their divine path. And I know, and I've seen it because I have done many readings and I have plenty of data of how unsatisfied the modern woman is.
No.
How unsatisfied she is with her life, with her loneliness, with the fact that she can't find a partner, with the fact that no man she can't admire. All men are like stupid and dumb and like, get out of the way. And it's like you don't work for anything. We're demasculating our men.
Right.
And this is ruining society. And it's not bringing happiness to no one. It's only inflating more ego, inflating more pride, inflating more entitlement. And it's not making us happy. So this book is to help women come back into chastity, because that is the way. Enough of the promiscuity. This is killing the world.
Right.
Killing the world. Yeah. A chaste woman is the strongest woman. It's the most powerful woman. It is It is ultimate power, ultimate Shakti at its fullest. I mean, you are a Ram Bhakta, you know Sita. Sita, the most chaste,
Oh,
the
yeah.
most pure.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
even Ravan, the most intense demon, couldn't even touch her. And there was one point where he came up to her and he was going to try to obligate her and force her into submission. And all she did was just grab a piece of grass and told him off.
Yep.
The power of a chaste woman has been lost. And women are ready to race into their power. And the only way to race into their power is not by this free sex. Oh, I'm so powerful because I'm in the biggest gangbang. No. You're so powerful because you are chaste, untouchable, pure. Nothing can get to you. You're godly. So this is the book that I'm going to be launching for next upcoming year.
That sounds
And
really
this
beautiful.
is, oh, thank you.
That
But
really
this is really where my soul is calling, and I really feel like this is the moment. We need our women to come back into the heart. We need our women to come back into the divine feminine. And the divine feminine is not some femme fatale who likes to have sex with a bunch of, and she can man eat her. Like, no, it's not that.
Right.
It's not that. We're ready to come back into this divinity. We're seeking for it. Our souls are dying. And if we do this, the world will come back into balance.
Yeah.
Because we need to control the lust. This is what's happening. It is in women's hands how much lust we can admit in this world and how less lust we can admit in this world.
Right.
The human trafficking that is happening. I mean, look at the P. Diddy things that are coming up, guys.
Yeah,
this
all
is
the news.
mainstream. This is mainstream. The rapage of children. This is mainstream. The lust, this freak-offs, insane amounts of lust and bestiality and just beasts and demons.
Yeah.
The lust is out of hand and it's killing us. And the children are the target and the victims. This is crazy. And this is why chastity needs to rise now. Now. It needs to come now. Because we are killing ourselves with this lust.
Yeah.
We're killing ourselves with this lust. So that is my calling right now. And that is the more expansive mission that is coming up.
That's really beautiful. And I would love to help in any way that I can. I think with what you're talking about, and I'm not saying that I'm one to do it, but hopefully maybe somebody on listening to this podcast feels moved that there is something created to help men facilitate that chastity, to help men move into their appropriate roles, like you were talking about, the protector. I see when we talk about Ram and Sita, I see Hanuman as that guiding protector, right? So he helped Rama to not only rescue Sita, but he was the facilitator when he went to Sita when she was in the palace of Ravana and basically ensured that she knew that Rama was still there and that he hadn't left her side. So if someone, is listening to this, I think that is a good starting point to start understanding men's roles and the way that we can not necessarily belittle ourselves, but move into our appropriate places to help with this divine feminine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hanuman is a reincarnation of Shiva. You know that?
Yep.
And Shiva is the greatest servant of God. He is the greatest yogi.
Adi yogi.
And Ram being a reincarnation of Krishna, the reincarnation of Bhagavan, like that's why we also honor a lot of Shiva. We honor Shiva a lot too, because he is an incredible servant of God. And that's what we are. We are servants of God.
Mm-hmm.
We are here to serve. And yes, anybody who wants to serve, come and do some serving. Let's do some service. We're
Yeah.
ready to bring some goodness in the world. And it only comes by the effort of this seva, this service that we want to give to God.
Very much so. I really love that idea. One kind of hard question I ask to people, but I feel like you're going to have a very beautiful answer to it, is if today was your last day in this earthly plane, in this dimension, whatever we want to call it, right? What is one maybe lasting impression that you feel most moved to leave on this earth?
Chant the holy name.
I love that.
It all comes down to that. It all comes down to that, because when I leave this body, when I let go of this earth, fire, water, earth, ether, air, and when I let go of my subtle body, my mind, my intelligence, and my false ego, the only thing that there's left is my soul. And that soul gets turned on with transcendental sound vibration. And the name of God, chanting the name of God, is how we connect to that transcendental sound vibration. I hope, now that you say my last words, I hope my last words, Hare Krishna.
Right.
Just be able to
Yep.
into Goloka Vrindavan, baby.
Yeah, I mean, as a Ram Bhakta, I almost sometimes feel obligated to make sure that I do come back here, but there are plenty of times where I'm like, if it happens, I just want to say that one thing, and then it's,
Just say
well,
Ram,
right, exactly,
Ram.
right. And that's honestly, audience, that's another episode I've been considering doing, and I'll have to put it together. But the idea that when we leave our body, that when our last breath starts to exit our mouth or our nose, that we have our mind focused on the divine. There are Vedic ways, there are ways in different belief systems to ensure that we go to a certain place. And at a point, I plan on doing an episode on that. And I would love some of your input and feedback on those, and even some help with that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Definitely. I really, really want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything that you feel moved to say besides what beautifully you've already put? If it
Yes.
anything.
My last message. In the next upcoming 2 years, 2025 and 2026, according to Vedic Astrology, it's going to be a year where we're going to see a lot of death. And I want to prepare you for that. We're 5 years into the vaccinations of 2020. We're also on the verge of World War III. There is a lot of death that is about to start happening in the next upcoming 2 years.
Yeah.
Death, of course, is just the death of bodies. The souls can never die.
Right.
But this death is going to cause a lot of suffering. It's going to cause a lot of grief. And this is perfectly tailored. Tailored not for you to suffer more, but for you to be completely ricocheted into God's arms. Because unfortunately, as a human being, the only time we remember God is in our darkest hour. Even the atheist at the verge of death or at the verge of some accident or something, he's like, oh God, please help me.
Right.
It happens. So unfortunately, human beings have to get to such a level of suffering to finally remember God and to finally call out to God. And so my last message is, this is the moment to choose a side. This is the moment. We are in a spiritual war. In the next upcoming 2 years, we are going to start seeing all this suffering and all this death. Do not allow yourself to be confused by Maya. Because once we have this AI and more virtual reality, This is what I like to call Maya square. Okay, we're gonna get Maya over Maya over Maya. Like, we're not gonna know what is real, what is not, what is nothing. And so this is the moment to take shelter. Hide your kids, hide your wife, and take shelter. Take shelter of the divine. Take shelter of God. Take shelter of Guru. Find it. This is the moment to really ask yourself, what do I believe in? Does God really exist? I'm ready to connect. I'm ready to repent. I'm ready to humble down. I'm ready to love. So if you come to Sanatana Dharma, wonderful, incredible. But whatever calls your nature, fine, go for it. If your nature calls for Jesus Christ, if your nature calls for whatever you like, sure, go for it. But choose. This is the moment. This is the moment.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and that's definitely a message I'm working on using this podcast to convey, is that I know most of our listeners, if not a lot of the ones that I've talked to, feel something coming, and in that intuition, if we can develop a sense of devotion, like you said, to anything, whether it's Christ, Muhammad, it's all the same energy. One of my teachers uses a phrase, sub-ek, right? All is one. And in this aspect, in this part of the discussion, those energies, even though they may look different, even though they're worship different, those energies, audience, are all one. And like she said, we are in a different type of atmosphere. We are in a spiritual war. And to pick a side will be very beneficial for you in the future, moving forward, like she said.
Absolutely.
And I really want to thank you for coming on. I love this discussion, and I hope that you're willing to come on more. We would love to have you back on the episodes. And
yes,
like I said, any that I can do to help facilitate what you are trying to do. Is there any social medias that you would like to verbally say? I know I said we'd put them in the description, but is there any ones for the people that are listening?
Yes, guys. You guys can follow me at Astral Motivation in my YouTube. There you can find astrology videos. You can find how to learn astrology as well with me. And you can get a lot more insights into yourself, into the future, into many things. So those are my long videos on YouTube. If you like little bits of pieces, then you can check out my Instagram, Vinodini.Dasi, or you can also check out my TikTok, Vinodini Dasi. And in TikTok, I'm actually doing a lot of lives where I am doing my practices, my Vedic practices. So if you are interested in that, definitely hit me up over there, send me a text message, send me a DM, and I would love to be of help to you. We are in this together, and I don't have any answers. I'm just literally a parrot repeating what my guru has taught me. And if you are a sincere soul, and you really are looking for something greater and deeper and everything, I will try my best to guide you in the right direction and to send you what you need to understand and learn more. So please bring your questions, bring your open heart, bring your inquisitiveness. That those are the ingredients. Those are the only ingredients that you need to start opening your mind to the wisdom of this knowledge.
Well, thank you, and like I said, I'll put all the links to your social media and everything in the description. And again, I really just want to thank you so much for coming on, and much love.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna, and thank you so much, Jaitra Das. I love what you're doing here, as I was mentioning. Let's get the Vedic Renaissance up and going, baby. And yes, of course, whenever you would like to invite me, I would love to be here for you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, I wish you a beautiful day, and I wish you all the best in everything you are doing too. So, Hare Krishna.
You too. Hare Krishna and Hare Bol.
Krishna.